to Convo Fango. Today we are joined by the director, the producer, and co-writers of short film Blink. We've got Spenser Cohen and Anna Halberg. Yay!
Thanks
Oh,
for having us.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming to hang out.
thank you.
So I'm very excited about this for a multitude of reasons. But to start off, just tell us a little bit about what Blink is about.
So, Blink is about a girl who wakes up in a hospital room. She's lost the ability to speak, and the only thing she can do to communicate is to blink with her eyes. And she soon realizes that there may be something sinister after her.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, nice. I like that punctuation. I was very anxious watching this, and then I also started to pay. I was like hyper aware of my own blinking, and I felt like I was like, "Am I blinking too hard?" I was just like it's anxiety inducing for lots of reasons that I won't spoil. But I thought it was weird that I was so hyper aware of my own blinking in that moment.
We want you to be anxious watching this.
Did you guys feel like that watching it back? Were you like very like aware of how you're blinking?
I
Yeah,
mean,
no, Angel, you're just weird.
watching Sophie do that, yeah. I mean, because she had to do take after take
hmm
sometimes, and it would be like the blinks were very specific
hmm
to
Quite
certain beat.
punctuated.
Yeah, so because it was sort of like she had a whole symphony she played with her eyes.
hmm
So all of that was very detailed, but it was anxious watching her do it for such a long amount of time.
Yes.
And I was more aware of the fact that, you're blinking constantly throughout the day and you don't pay attention to it.
Uh-huh.
But when it's something that she's having to do as a conscious decision, it made me very aware just of blinks in general on set.
Yes. Nice. No, I feel every blink, whereas I was not
Exactly.
conscious about it before. And then I'm like, am I blinking too much? Am I blinking hard? Am I blinking soft? Like, what's
Normal
happening?
now? Is this weird? Am I weird? This is fun.
Yeah. Am I making it weird? Am I making it awkward? I don't know. Is this natural blinking? But I love the way that you put it, a symphony with her eyes, because I mean, she's wakes up and she's not able to move or communicate aside from like basically this is isolated.
Yeah.
And I was just like so impressed with her performance because she conveys so much. Like there's like this whole array of shit that happens in a very short amount of time, and she's able to express that with basically this, which is insane to me.
Yes.
She's so talented. Like we could spend an hour talking about how talented she is. But I think there are very few people who could pull off what she did and be so vulnerable and make you care and really land the emotion and the scares.
hmm
And like you said, just with this, she's able to convey so much with her eyes. She's
They always
amazing.
say good actors act through their eyes, but we're like, you literally can only act with your eyes. So you have to get everything across just right here.
And I always think about how hard that would be to isolate that because it's like obviously she can move everything, right? And she's used to using her entire body as a tool. So then when you're not actually isolated to this, but you're just trying to utilize that, that must be really hard to be like, oh, hold on, I like moved something else when I wasn't supposed to. Like, what?
Yes, or we're even conscious of her breathing because
hmm
she's getting really worked up. But then a lot of times, if you breathe really hard, your body starts to move. And so we had to be very cognizant of how much that was happening.
Yes, I love that. And then like the rapid blinks, and then that had me thinking about like my blinks again, and I was like, ah, I feel very anxious for like this whole thing is making me very uncomfortable in the best, like most fun way. So part of the thing that's so cool about this is it's part of the Screen Gems horror lab, and it's the first one like right out the gate, and you guys like came so hard with it. Can you kind of explain to people what the horror lab is and like what that entails?
Yes. So we were the guinea pigs, as you say, and it was the best program to be guinea pigs for. So we had a pre-existing relationship with Scott Glassgold, who is the producer who had kind of partnered up with Screen Gems to create this initiative. We never found a project that really had clicked for us to collaborate on. And we'd also had a relationship with Screen Gems and kind of similarly had not found something where we were all able to work together. But when this came about, Scott called us and he said, hey, there's this thing that's starting up and Sony and Screen Gems are trying to make these proof of concept short films with up and coming filmmakers to really give them an opportunity to bring their visions to life. You guys wouldn't happen to have a horror short or something you've been thinking on? And we're like, actually, we wrote one that we've been wanting to make, but it requires a hospital set. So we needed a bit of money, but take a read and see what you think. So we sent it over to him. He's like, I love this. Can I share this with Screen Gems? And he did. And that's kind of how it got started. But the initiative is just a really, really cool concept that I feel like every studio should be doing.
hmm Hard agree on that. When I first heard that they were like launching this project like a while back, I was like, I was so fucking excited for this. And now I'm like so excited that because I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, like that's awesome. And I'm like really stoked on this. So I'm really excited that like these months later now I'm like, oh, this is like the first baby that was born out of this. And it fucking rocks. So I was like, yes, like more of this,
It's crazy
please.
though, because the pandemic hit and the world shut down like a week or two after we wrapped. I mean, I think
Yeah,
truly a week
Oh,
after.
a week
wow.
after.
So I think there was a lot of gear up for other projects to be following. And then, COVID hit. So we're excited to see the other projects that come out of it too, because ours was so much fun to make.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let's talk a little bit more about Sophie Thatcher. I feel like she's everywhere right now, and like rightfully
Oh,
so. She's
no.
just killing it, blowing up, and then and then she's doing an amazing performance in this. Like,
She's on fire. I mean, she's so talented. We were really lucky to work with her. She had done a movie with Scott Glassgold, and so when we were talking about people to cast for this, he immediately brought up Sophie, and we looked at some of her work. We're like, would she do this project? And we were so lucky to have her sign on. She flew out from New York, came out for a couple of days to film with us. And in the last 2 years since we made this, she's just, like we said, she's on fire. So
Yeah, it's
yes.
a weird thing to ask an actor to get on a plane, fly to LA, and be in something where you have no dialogue and all you do is blink. And she was so game and so excited, and just she committed 150% to every single take. So when we were editing, it was almost like we had too much good stuff to
Hmm.
pull from, because she was just like on her game on every single shot. So
I love that.
she's amazing.
yeah,
We're
she's really
so
incredible.
lucky to have her.
That's really cool. And I feel like I mean, it sucks that there was like COVID and all of this after, so it's like it's kind of like a delay, but it's like kind of actually works out nicely timing wise for you guys because people are like, hell yeah, Sophie Thatcher. And you're like, oh, do you like Sophie Thatcher? Take a look at
Yeah,
this,
now
right?
we have this little gem.
Exactly. So I feel like that actually works out really nicely.
Yes, it's coming out at a great time for sure.
Yes. And I feel like on the flip side of being like, hey, this is a weird ask. You have no dialogue. Do you want to star as the lead in this? But I'm like, as an actor, that must be also kind of cool because, like, what a challenge to be like, all right, bring in the big guns, gonna do like just all the eyeball acting and just like kill it. Like, right?
Eyeball acting. I think
Yeah,
that's a term you should
eyeball
coin.
acting.
Really good eyeball actor. I don't know about an actor in general, but great eyeball actor.
Put it on the resume, Sophie. Put that shit on the
Exactly.
resume. Or you guys as like an endorsement, she's like, she's a great eyeball actor. Like
Yeah,
10/10, top of the game. Would recommend.
yeah.
What was your guys' favorite part about getting to make this?
Uh, I mean, just getting to make it. We
Okay.
we spent so like a long time sitting in rooms just writing
Hmm.
and not being on set and not making things as writers and producers. A lot of time is just development and self-generating.
Hmm.
So it was cool. I think the last time we were on set before that was like 4 years before that or something.
Extinction, maybe.
Yeah, I wasn't even on that one. Yeah. But it was like it was a long enough time where because I truly feel at home on set.
Hmm.
And so it was a long enough time where I was so excited to get back and to shoot something. And just the crew that came together, we got to work with friends and people we'd worked with previously and had great relationships with. So it was like bringing back together like a family
Yeah, I
and
think the
shooting.
collaboration was really fun because Spencer and I went to USC to the film school undergrad together. And, when you're in film school, it's all of these people who are like-minded, who are excited about projects, just coming together to make something. And not that you lose that when you start to become a professional in the industry, but there was something really cool about making a short film where we didn't have a huge budget, we didn't have a ton of time. And so everybody who was involved because they liked the project or wanted to be involved. So it was just a really great group of supportive, kind, cool individuals. And it was just great to have the studio have our back so much. They were there supporting and helping us, not getting in the way. I mean, kind of the best partners that you could ask for
Hmm.
in this situation.
Those are my favorite stories when I hear people explain it that way because it's like everyone starts out as this doing what? Like you want to make movies with your friends, right? And that's like the most fun that it could possibly be. That's like the ideal level of it. So then when you get to carry that over from like film school and then do that like professionally and still keep it like, yeah, we got to make movies with our friends, like that's like the best.
Yes, it was awesome.
And I feel like those always end up being the most fun projects like to watch as well because I feel like I'm like everyone is just like bringing that passion and that energy to set or something, because it just like it's conveyed through the screen, and like it never fails whenever I have something that I watch and like I love it and I get to talk to the filmmakers, like they usually talk about it in this way where it's like we were making something with our friends and we loved it, and I was like, well, the energy was like coming out of the screen because I had a blast watching it.
It was definitely a labor of love. I mean, even in shooting it, like there's a part where a sequence where the bed gets kind of pushed on its own and it starts to move. And we had a team helping us, like a special effects team, and they rigged this thing and the bed was supposed to pull, and every time it wasn't working. So it just kept stuck, like it would go like 3 inches and then the rope would break or whatever. It just kept failing and failing. We're like, how are we gonna do this? So we all got together, we're all standing around like, okay. And Scott, I think, was it Scott's nephew?
Yeah.
Scott, the producer, his nephew was there. We're like, do we have like a green screen suit or something? Can you get in the green screen suit? We're just gonna throw you in, crouch down and pull the bed, and we're just gonna take you out later. And he's like, I'm in. He like throws the suit on. So it really had that, like, everyone just wanted it to be the best thing that it could possibly be. And anyone would jump in at any point to try to make a shot better or fix something or help us in any way. So it was
I
great.
mean, even our food, like I drove around my like Toluca Lake where I live and asked local vendors like, hey, we're making this film. Can you donate lunch for us? Or will you donate coffee?
Which is what we used to do in film
exactly.
school.
So yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, the set was fun. It was a really fun set.
That's awesome. I love that's like very all hands on deck. I'm here for it. And I love that like do we happen to have a green screen suit? Yeah, we do. Like just in your backpack or something.
And the footage is so funny because he's like crouched down in this like green leotard and he's like pulling the bed, and we're like, we had no concept that we were gonna even be doing visual effects for that part. And
yeah, later.
I know, right?
Okay, I kind of want to see that though because it just sounds super awkward. Like,
yes. Oh, don't worry, we documented it.
Oh, perfect, amazing. I need to see that on like the bonus features.
Exactly.
So this was intended to serve as a proof of concept. So does that mean like, can you guys give us kind of like a hint of what this would be like as like a feature without kind of giving spoilers?
Yeah, so we figured out the feature before we figured out the short. So it was, the short is kind of like the first 5 minutes or 6 minutes of what the movie would be. But without giving away too much, we were very inspired by Rear Window and filmmakers like James Wan, and we wanted to combine the two together. So this is a sort of supernatural Rear Window in a sense.
That kind of sounds. It's like a perfect description of what I just watched last night. So nailed it. That's awesome.
Good.
I got to tell you guys though, I was really grossed out. I was like, I was cringing and like afraid when the bed does start to move. This isn't a spoiler, but there was like an IV shot, you know, we're really holding on it, and I was like, like I was like, ugh.
And being on set and watching that made me cringe, and I'm like, I'm watching this fake thing happen, and it still grossed me out.
Yeah.
I hate needles so much. So when we were storyboarding the bed moving, and at some point I was like, well, she's attached to an IV, so how do we, what do we do? Oh, wait a second, let's just have the IV pull. And the thought of that, even when we were storyboarding it, made the hair on my arm stand up, because when I go to get blood drawn or anything, I'm the person that the nurses are like, are you gonna faint? And I'm like, I hope not. I'm like,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So that moment was definitely a cringe moment for me, and a personal fear, because I absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I was like, my stomach was turning watching that. I was like, I don't know where they're gonna take this, but I'm very uncomfortable with it either way. I'm like disgusted.
It was also the sound designs that Steve did, our amazing sound designer, but it's like the sound of it pull.
So gross.
It's like a snap, like the skin pulling out. I don't know.
Okay, too much. No.
Moving on. Next question.
It's my first time ever throwing up during an interview. Thank you guys.
Hey, that's a win. That's what we're going for. If we can get everyone to throw up watching our stuff.
And then it's gonna be like those like old time like over the top marketing things they did, where it's like giving out barf bags when you walk into the movie. It's like, you will vomit if you see this.
You get a barf bag and an IV.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Disgusting. Man.
Hard pass for me.
Right? Well, maybe I'll pass on that as well. I don't know about that. Is there anything else you guys would like to share with us about like the process about this movie?
No, we're excited.
Yeah.
It's we're going to South by tomorrow. Excited to have festivals be back in person, which is going to
Nice.
be really fun, and to be able to watch this on a big screen with a group of people.
You get to
Because
watch it with other humans.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
That's
will
so
say
cool.
it plays really, really well on the big screen, especially like the last 8 seconds, when it goes dark and you're just kind of, and all the sound goes out and you're sort of waiting for something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a big theater and it's quiet, because we watched after it was color corrected, I got to see it on a huge screen, and that moment just like hits hard in the theater. So I'm excited to see it.
yeah,
with
it'll be
people.
fun.
Nice. Thanks for not rubbing it in, guys. I watched it at home, but it's cool. It's
I
whatever.
watched my iPhone while I was like doing the dishes.
I was driving and it was playing on my iPhone. I just glanced at it every so often, but I mean, it's still similar, you know.
Was there silence at the end? What happened? I
Oh
On the
man.
South by.
yeah, exactly.
I'm covering it virtually. Well, Fango will be repping it at South by. I just won't be there.
I'll put
repping
the
it.
laptop on the seat next to me, and then you can.
Oh, thank you. We'll do like a little FaceTime. I'll be like, I'm here with you guys. I'll get dressed all fancy and just be sitting next to you guys. Awesome. I'm here for it. Oh, you know what? Speaking of seeing it on a big screen, there's a shot that I would have loved to see on the big screen. It has to do with like eyeball close-ups and like what we're kind of seeing. I think there were some really cool effects done there.
That was we were really happy with how that turned out.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a very specific vision for what we wanted that to be, and because the world went into lockdown, we found ourselves with a great visual effects company that had the time to really get it right. And so we really R&D'd that, and we tried a lot of stuff out. But I think the end result ended up being very, very cool. They did an amazing job.
Yes.
It was
Chilling
exactly
and
what we
fun.
wanted. Like
Yeah.
it looks exactly like the storyboards and exactly what we pitched from day one. So
I
it
love
turned
that
out
so much. Yeah, eventually I'll get to see that shot on the big screen. Just won't be this weekend. All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Blink premieres at South by Southwest, and I think you're going to be able to watch it online after that as well. Is that correct?
14th of March.
14th of March. Okay, not quite the Ides of March, but we're real close. All right. All right, thank you guys so much. It was awesome to meet
So
you.
nice to meet
See
you.
ya.
Oh, have
Thank
so
you.
much fun at South by and like watching it with an audience and people cringing and throwing up in the aisles at the IV scene. It's going to be a blast.
Perfect.